Hearing. Mr. Chairman, I would ask unanimous consent to add into the record the written testimony from the International Chiropractic Association about non-pharmacological treatment of pain. Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman,
Restate your unanimous consent request. Would you restate it, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I would ask unanimous consent to add into the record the written testimony by the International Chiropractic Association on non-pharmaceutical treatment of pain.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. Dr. Shuchat, last year there was a study done that I believe was done in collaboration with the CDC and Johns Hopkins and HHS and NIH and CMS that was called Examining Insurance Coverage for Acute and Chronic Back Pain Treatment, a pilot study. Are you familiar with this, dealing with insurance companies and how they can actually not approve non-pharmaceutical treatments and actually push more opioid use by what they cover and what they don't cover?
I'm not familiar with the specific study, but I am familiar with that issue of what is reimbursed and what isn't, and that there's been a problem with opioids being easily reimbursed and the alternative approaches.
Okay, well, this is the study that I'm speaking of, so I want to make sure, because CMS has actually cited this as being a problem. Also, in the New York Times, there was an article last week that addressed this as well that I want to bring to your attention. And essentially what it says, it gave very many examples about how pharmacy benefit managers, PBMs if you will, and insurance companies are actually pushing more opioid use by the fact that they're not approving the use of non-pharmaceutical or non-opioids. There are, whereas I agree with Dr. Gottlieb that there is a gap there between, ibuprofen and the NSAIDs, and then we go to opioids, and we need to fill in that gap. But there are some things that can be used. You can use gabapentin, you can use Neurontin, Lyrica, those type of things. But in many cases, the insurance companies don't cover them. The PBMs don't cover them. Or the copay is higher, or you have to get a prior approval, or it's in another tier, a higher tier, so that you have to go through more hoops in order to get it approved, which of course is leading to more opioid use. Do you care to comment on that? Is that something you see?
Yeah, our incentives have been going the wrong way to get better practice, better pain management, and avoiding the harms of opioids.
What can you do? What can CDC do? I mean, is there anything you can do to encourage? I've not had any success in dealing with the PBMs, I can tell you that, but perhaps you will.
Yeah, CDC's guidelines for the treatment of chronic pain are now being taken up by a number of health plans, insurers, medical societies, and the defaults in the electronic medical records and the ordering are better in many places. But I wanted to say something about the pharmacy benefit managers and the...
Please hurry.
Sorry, just that they have actually been helpful in spotting the problematic providers.
They have been helpful to a certain extent, but also they've been part of the problem because they've been not approving some of the drugs that could have been used and instead have been approving the cheaper opioids, therefore increasing the amount of opioid use. So that's the point I'm trying to make here.
Yeah, absolutely. We need better